Okay, so what I'd like to do is just to walk you through the compliance process for Motorline, utilising the ITC's Apex application. So it's going to be really important to understand where and when it is that we actually utilise this function within the process. So if we take a very quick look at the Motorline sales process, we can actually see that you can go all the way through the process right up to the point where the customer says, yes, I'd like to go ahead and buy the car. And then it is at that point when they want to sort of buy it, we want to complete the order form, but we actually would then move straight into the Apex system and start to complete the process. So what I'm going to do is to walk you through the first stage of completing the ITC system, or the Apex system, whilst the customer is in the showroom, or if it's over the phone, the customer's phoned in to confirm what you need to complete over the phone. So this is the initial stage. The closing down stage is actually a different video. So we're going to go straight to the Apex system. This is a dummy system, so there's a couple of little bits and pieces that are not quite the same, but I'll explain where they are. And obviously what we're going to do is make sure that we log in with the customer and make sure that we're in the Apex part of the application. So what we would need to do is go down to our control panel. Obviously the amount of functions that we have here don't necessarily reflect what the salesperson may have, or transaction manager, but everybody should have at least a new sale. So the application will initially make sure that we don't duplicate records. So it's going to look, so if I actually type in here, you know, Patrick, for example, Patrick Murray, and actually search, hopefully it will come up with all the different Patricks that we got into the system. But if I just put in 3 unusual letters and go search, then it won't find them, obviously, and then we can then just click here and create a new customer. So I'm going to create a new customer. Customer name is all pretty straightforward. What's their status? We'll just go for a private customer at this stage, and what we'll also do is just put it in as Mr. Let's go the first name. Let's go for Angus Young, UNG, great guitarist from AC/DC, and the date of birth, we'll put him in as the 29th of the 6th, 1965. Okay, so email address, I'm going to put in Angus at motorline.co.uk, just to get out any old email address in there for the moment. Has here telephone number. Okay, so I'll put in any old number at the minute, 892, and then we'll go for 4431. That'll do pretty good. And mobile I'll just leave for the minute. I'll just make up a postcode, so let's go TN23EY, which is where I'm sitting at the minute, and Longfield Road, Tunbridge, property name, Nissan. Pretty good stuff. So we just obviously put the customer's name and address into this section, obviously not the dealer. This is the name of the customer. Now it's a bit frustrating because it's actually asking us just to sort of say, well look, in order to send the customer an IDD, an initial disclosure document, and demands and needs, what's the best way of doing that? We really do want to make sure we do this by email, and it's telling us to do that. So when you go, it's a very simple mistake that you make, you click create like this and it throws a warning, okay, because it's actually asking us to say, you haven't selected an email or a phone whereby we can sort of get this information to them. It's quite confusing. You kind of think, well, where am I supposed to click? Well, if you look and you hover your mouse on these, it's really frustrating because they don't turn into a hand, but they do actually if you click them. So that actually goes post, telephone, email, that kind of stuff, and then you can click create, and then with any luck it lets you in. So if the customer had confirmed over the telephone, click on telesales. Okay, we can conclude later on in a separate video the actual ITC process face to face, but just for the minute it started off as a telesale. But I want to do face to face and pretend that the customers agreed to buy it in the showroom. Those customers will be retail, and then we click next. So what insurance products are we going to discuss with this customer? Well, in this particular application, it just has Gap and Smart, but it will also have tyre and wheel, because like I said to you, I'm in a dummy system. We're going to click on Start, and the system will now take us to the first part. So it's just going to do some basic data protection information that we're going to do here and send the customer an IDD. And then what it will start to do is work through this little process flow here at the top. And then once it's finished, it's got to this apply stage, it will jump down to here, and then it will do the finance demands and needs. Okay, so I'll do the insurance one first, then I'll do the finance. So that's how we're always going to start it. So basically it's saying, are we happy to proceed based on all of this kind of information? Well, I'm just going to say yes. Obviously, just in the interest of time in getting through this video, I'm not going to read out every single question, but they are in effect, which is what the demands and needs are, is they are a qualification application to see that the customer, is fit and proper and suitable to have our insurance products. So it's got all of Angus's details in here. How do we verify? Well, we need to make sure we've got a copy of the customer's driving license or another, as you can see here. So we'll go for driving license because it's the easiest. Okay. Now, it's asking us about the vehicle details. Is the vehicle new or used? Well, let's say it is a new vehicle. Okay. And it says, do we know the vehicle registration number? This is what some people do. They think, I don't know what it is, so I'm going to type into here TBC, to be confirmed. And then they start to continue by loading all the vehicle details in. You must not do that, because you'll get all the way to the end of the process, and then you won't be able to alter the registration number if it's a new vehicle, and you learn of the registration number later, because it thinks TBC is the registration number. So it's really important that you don't type that in. So what you do is, if you don't know the registration number, put don't know or no, and then what it will actually do is it will write to be confirmed in here for you, and it will allow you to alter it at a later date. So let's put in just a couple of little details about the vehicle here. Let's go 1800, vehicle manufacturer, oops, Toyota, it's in there already, Toyota vehicle model, let's stick in a RAV4, let's try again, 4, it's all pretty good, it's all built for us. Vehicle type, SUV, and I don't know, let's go for whites. Okay, pretty good. Body style. Will save me looking up. Let's go in. I said MPV. I'll do for a minute. It's not really, but there we go. Okay, date of first registration. Well, we'll pretend that this one is going to get registered on the 1st of September 2021. So we're happy with that. What's the age of the vehicle? Well, it's all noughts at the minute, so I think that's all pretty good. Let's just quickly check over here. How will the vehicle be funded? So we're just moving over to the right hand side. It's definitely going to be a bit of dealer finance. What is the mileage of the vehicle? Well, let's go 0 at the minute because it's unregistered. And what's the recommended retail price of the vehicle? Let's say it's £40,000. Proposed delivery date, well, I'm kind of thinking that's going to be the same date again. That's going to be 1st of September. And will general insurance products be offered on this vehicle? Absolutely they will. Will any of the products require any sort of side loans? We'll say no for the minute. Happy days. So I think that's about it. So what it's now asking us to do is to either print off the status disclosure, just like the settee, the sofa and the couch, they're all the same thing. Status disclosure means the initial disclosure document. So you can see here that it's all available, so you could put that up on the screen if you really wanted to for the customers. Personally, I wouldn't. I'd just let it go straight to the clients. Or alternatively, what you can do is you could now just print that off here and physically give it to the customer. But we've already got their email address, so I think what we'll do is we'll just confirm that the initial disclosure has been provided to the customer, and as soon as we click this next button, it will now automatically email that directly to the customer. Now it does sometimes start on this section here, this decision tree. We want to start it on the insurance, and make sure you click this first part here. And you're going to have to go through Smart, Gap and Tyre and Wheel, obviously. So let's just fill out some basic qualifying questions. So it's asking us whether the customer is eligible for Smart. We're going to go yes. Let's just move this down a little bit, and I'll widen it out a little bit just so you can see a bit clearer. Maybe not. There we go. Do you intend to use the vehicle for any other purpose that could be considered outside normal private use? No, I don't intend to do that because that would exclude me from the policy. Do you have any other insurance in place? No, I don't. Would you be happy to repair the cost yourself? No, I don't. I want a third party to do it, in other words, Smart. And have you been made aware of the panels that are not covered? Well, if you've used my lovely little training laminates, then you will have told them that. Click Next. And that concludes Smart, so not overly complicated. Now it's going on to a bit of Gap, so it does actually allow you to re-explain it again there, but hopefully you should already have done this by now. Okay, and it's going to ask a few more questions on this actually. So it says here, does the vehicle meet the eligibility criteria applicable for Gap? Yes, of course it does. And does the customer fit with the eligibility criteria? Yes, he does. And okay, and does the customer intend to purchase the vehicle, register and insure it with Gap? Yes, they do. Okay, and are you going to use it for any other purpose that could be outside normal use? No, I'm not going to do that. And I do intend to get comprehensive insurance on it, and if the vehicle is written off by an insurer, would some other insurer cover it for us? No, they wouldn't. Oh, sorry, no, it doesn't say that. It's basically saying, would you get back what you paid for it if you wrote your car off? No, I wouldn't. Do you have an existing insurance that would make a payment or a top-up? No, I don't. Okay, so then it just goes on to, are you going to happy to pay that yourself? No, I don't. Would you like to consider using somebody else that would do it for you? Yes, I do. So you can get the idea. It's all basic qualifying information. And it says here, can you just confirm that you've been given permission to include the price of the product on effectively our order form for them to consider? Yes, we're absolutely happy with that. Click on Next. Okay, so it now automatically it's now gone to the product selection where it's recommending products for us. Okay. So it says, are any of the products being purchased using finance? Yes, we're definitely going to be using a bit of finance, and we now select the policy. So I've only just got two basic policies in here, 24-month and 36 months Smart. I'm going to select 36 months Smart. But obviously you'll have probably a greater number of policies in there. It will automatically select the duration for us, but on my sort of dummy system it doesn't do that, so I'm just going to pop in 3 years, and it automatically pops the price in here, and the customer's going to select that for consideration. Okay, what about Gap? Well, again, you'll have a whole load of different gaps here, but we're going to go for policy 2. And we're going to do that for probably 3 years, which I think is pretty good. And we're going to select that for consideration as well. Okay. Now this here is just saying, can we confirm that the customer has been given the correct insurance policy information document Yes, we have. So that really is just a document that really says what's excluded and what is included in the policy, and it has to be set out in a specific format, which ITC will automatically do for us. So if the customer does want to start making comparisons with, you know, another supplier outside of Motorline, invariably, if you look at what isn't included on you know, the competitor IP ID document, you'll see there's an awful lot of stuff that, you know, they exclude, which we would include. So it does help to support, you know, sort of a customer taking the product with us. Unfortunately, because I'm in a dumb system, you can't see the IP ID documents, okay, which basically would be detailed just here. There'll be two little PDFs. Okay, so we're just going to continue with that because we're happy with everything on those products, and you can see it's just whirring away at the top, so hopefully that will go through. And it now takes us to the demands and needs. So this is the draft demands and needs. It's got all of the sort of information that we've already taken from the customer, which you can see. What it goes on to do is just recommend or give the answers to the questions that we should have asked the customer, or determined throughout the qualification period throughout the sale. So if you know the answer, we don't have to physically go through each one. We would just effectively tick them earlier on if we know the answers from having obtained that information earlier in the process. So it says all of the information here on their gap selections, the products that have been selected for consideration just here, and then as you can see it produces a PDF for the demands and needs. Now of course, just like the IDD, we can print that off or we can automatically send it to the customer. So we're going to send this one excuse me, to the customer. Just before I click next, I just want to sort of show you something. I did say to you that the status disclosure or the IDD, initial disclosure document, do get sent to the clients. So I've already sent one in advance to myself, to my private email, and as you can see here from the Motorline demo site, this is effectively what the customer would receive. So obviously there's an awful lot of information that is in the demands and needs, including narrative that states that the customer has got, you know, the 4-day or 2-day moratorium period where they can go and have a little look around and see if they can get a product cheaper. So in order for them to access that data and that information, they would effectively need to set up and register just by clicking here. And then they can get them into the system and they can see all of their documents. So we can actually view from a head office perspective, you know, whether they've actually bothered to look at their documents and bits and pieces. So we've sent that to the customer, happy about that. We will now click next, and it's now saying, really, wait a minute, have you done all of this information? Well, of course we have, we've just been through it. So I think what we'll do is we'll confirm that, and it will move on in a minute. Okay, so now what it's done is, you can see it's finished, it's all blue at the top here. We're still not at the apply stage because we did say we're going to have a little bit of the old finance. So what we're going to need to do is just start to complete the finance information. So it's got here funding your new vehicle. Okay. So, part exchange. Will you be part exchanging a vehicle? I think I probably am going to part exchange a vehicle, so let's pop that in there. And is the vehicle, or is there finance outstanding on the vehicle that I'm going to part exchange? Well, yes, there is a little bit of finance outstanding. Okay, so what are the monthly payments on the existing finance agreement? So I'll go 200 quid. And who's the existing finance company? Well, I'm going to go Mini Finance. Okay, and did the finance company, please enter the settlement figure. So let's pretend that the settlement figure is £4,000, and it says here, please enter the part exchange valuation. So let's say I'm going to be given £5,000 for my little Mini. Okay, nothing happens, just moves on down to this next section. However, if I was to put in £3,000 here, which is clearly less than the settlement figure, then what it automatically does, it says, is the existing agreement a regulated agreement with a voluntary termination clause? Okay, that means that you can give the car back once you paid a half of the total amount payable. So that includes deposit, all the interest and all the fees. Once you paid a half of the voluntary, half of the total amount payable, the customer can give the vehicle back. So is the customer going to be effectively using their VT to get rid of the vehicle? No. Okay, so will you be funding the negative equity? Okay, which is a bit of a no-no. So what we'll do is we'll change this answer to a yes. Is the agreement regulated under? Yes, it is. So has the customer, or basically has half of the total amount payable under this agreement, or under the terms of this finance agreement, been made? Yes, they have. Okay, so do you intend to exercise your statutory voluntary termination rights under this agreement? No, I'm not. We're sort of saying, whoa, will you be funding this negative equity? Because it doesn't like you doing that, because you're paying £1,000 for no reason. So yes, I will be doing that. Okay, so it effectively says here that under the 74 Consumer Credit Act, you've got a statutory right to voluntarily terminate your finance agreement once you've paid a half of the total amount payable has been paid under the agreement, especially if you're in negative equity. So this will not affect your credit rating. A lot of people say, yeah, it'll affect your credit rating. It does not. Okay. So you just need to confirm that you have told the customer that they can do that, provided, of course, that they can. Even if this customer was a couple of 3 payments away from reaching the halfway mark, then they could literally just make a couple of monthly payments. So mine was £200. So if I only had 2 payments left before I could reach the halfway mark, I'd only have to send a cheque for £400 to the finance company to be able to voluntarily terminate my car. So yes, I'll say that I've discussed that with the customer, which is all pretty good. Okay, new vehicle funding. What is the age of the vehicle that you're purchasing? We're just going to say it's newly and unregistered. How frequently would I like to change my car? I think I like to change it after 3 years. Okay. So if there's an option to make lower payments and cover the depreciation, so basically it's a loaded question that's suggesting that I do a PCP. If I click no, okay, then effectively it's going to take me through an HP and it'll tell me all about how I should explain that to a customer. However, I am very happy to consider someone else taking the risk on the depreciation, so it automatically would recommend a PCP. It tells me all the benefits and all the risks, and it also produces a nice little illustration here of how you could explain a PCP. Okay, let's click next, because I'm happy with that. And it moves on. Suitability. How suitable am I to have this PCP? Oops, I do apologise. Okay, so what it basically now goes on to say is, am I aware of any reason why I may not be accepted on finance? If I go yes, then it's kind of sort of saying, well, you know, it's why might that be, etc. So I'm going to say no. I'm quite happy about that. So it gives us a couple of disclaimers here. You've basically confirmed to us that you'd like to proceed with the finance application, and you're aware that the finance company will undertake a credit search that will appear on your credit file. Yes, I'm happy about that. So we just put that in now. And it says here, please note the type of finance product of which the application is made. So obviously, yeah, we just effectively communicate that to the customer as well. Just carry on moving down. Which finance company has been selected to provide the funds? Well, I'm buying a new Toyota, so let's go TFS. Will you be adding any insurance products to the finance proposal? I'm going to say no for the minute, because they don't like to finance insurance products. There won't be a top-up loan for the minute. We'll take it out of the customer's deposit. Suitability. What's the amount of finance including add-ons? Okay, we'll just say I'm going to do, it's a 40 grand car, let's say I'm going to do 20 grand. Okay, and it obviously just does little warnings here, like the lower the deposit, that, you know, the higher the risk of negative equity, you know, and if you wanted to settle, obviously, so just make the customer aware of that. So obviously I'm just keen not to go too much into it. Approximately how long do you want to keep the vehicle? So if I actually selected after 3 years, so if I go and select 38 months, okay, then potentially what will happen is, does the agreement have any restrictions on any mileage? Yes, it does. It doesn't really like it, if you select a time that's significantly further on from when you're actually doing the finance agreement. So it is really important that you just select, the time that the customer said they want to keep the car, which is 3 years. So what's the number of months that this finance agreement will be over? So if I actually put, 22 months, then obviously it knows that it's less. So I'm actually just going to go 3 years as well. Where are we now? 3 years is pretty cool. Okay. Okay. Does the agreement have any mileage restrictions? Yes, it does. I do 12,000 miles a year because PCPs are mileage restricted. So obviously sometimes they charge a mileage excess. If they go over that, make sure you've notified that to the customer and told them about it. Now it's about affordability. Can the customer afford this? The monthly payments will be, so let's say the payments on the new Toyota, a bit strong, are 400 quid. So it's basically saying, can I afford that? Yeah, I can definitely afford that. Okay, and it then goes on to sort of say, has the finance application been declined by dealership finance providers? No, it hasn't, and move on. Oh. Put in the APR rate. Well, I'm going to go 0%, okay, because it is on this car. Just click continue, but you would obviously put if it's a used car, make sure you put in whatever your used car rate is, whether it's 3.9, 4.9, 8.9, 9.9, etc. Now, that's now taken us to the end of the finance suitability section, and we are ready now to park the sale. Okay, what we are not going to do is to click any of these accepts, declined by the customer, accepted with modifications. We're going to, even if it was automatically accepted by the finance company, we are not going to go, oh, it's been accepted, and click it, because we cannot. If the customer then turns around and then says, oh, actually, thinking about it, can I just put a little bit more deposit in, or can I put a little bit less deposit in? If you've told the ITC system that it's already accepted, it will not allow you to make any amendments. So we're just going to leave this until close to the time when the customer picks the car up. So we go up to the top, and it's got this little park sale bit. It literally just means pop it onto ice. So we're going to click on the park sale. Okay. Do you wish to confirm that you want to park the sale and go back to it a bit later? I absolutely do. So we click on the OK. Happy days, and now we're done. So we should, if we went to sales administration, we should see, with any luck, our customers all listed here. So you can see Angus is sitting at the top. If the manager actually just wants to have a little look inside what's going on with them, you can just click any of these ones. You see, just click anywhere along the top here. So look at this Luna, alright, and you can see automatically there are all the details of these customers. Click Angus, there he all is, there's all these details. I'm not going to go into too much more. In fact, I'm going to go into no more, because what I want to do is come back to how we would continue that and complete the sale on dock day, or really when the customer comes to pick the car up. Bear in mind, in a car dealership, you're going to have loads and loads of customers in here, so you can filter them by reg number or whatever you want to do just by clicking these little bullet tabs at the top. If I create this, Patrick, the car salesperson, and Dave Williams, the other car salesman, wants to conclude it because, for example, the customer's picking the car up, today, and I just happen to be ill today, and today's collection date, any salesperson can go in and conclude another person's ITC, which is always a great thing. So other than that, I'm sorry it took a bit long, but with me waffling on, but that at least gives you a quick overview of what you do once the customer has ordered the car. It is absolutely mandated that these applications and information are completed with the customer every single time you do an order. There is none of this, oh, you can go now and we'll do it a bit later. You will do this. Okay, it's as important as taking deposits, more important than taking the money for the car. Other than that, have a look at the next video, which is all about how you conclude the sale. Thanks for watching.